Tonight on Cronkite News, the new bill aimed at protecting farmers from out-of-state companies using Arizona groundwater.
Plus, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. passes a key committee vote. We'll have more on the next step in his confirmation.
And Devin Booker made history last night, becoming the Suns' all-time leading scorer. Highlights from the game and more coming up. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Caitlin Humphrey.
And I'm Max Williams. Thank you for joining us.
Members of various communities across the state gathered at the Capitol this afternoon for what they called People's Day. I was there, where dozens of people were advocating for big-ticket issues they say impact Arizonans.
We're going to show the representatives like what is happening in our community and where they need to prioritize our tax-paying dollars.
Members of Living United for Change in Arizona organized this event in an effort to raise awareness and call for legislative action on a handful of topics. They were joined by some like-minded legislators.
And we are in a dark moment right now, so it's really beautiful to see the community come out and fight for the things they believe in and make it clear that we're not backing down. People are really struggling to get by, and we should be focusing our efforts as state lawmakers to solving the affordable housing crisis and lowering costs for Arizona families.
Workers' rights, immigrant protection, and public school funding are also on the list of priorities they want to see action on moving forward.
As a country, we contributed to the issues that are coming up right now, and I think we need to be part of the solution.
At least one part of their agenda is being addressed during this legislative session. There is a bipartisan bill on affordable housing moving through the Senate right now.
Now to the latest on President Trump's tariffs. China has announced a 15% tariff of its own on certain U.S. products. This is in response to the 10% tariff on imports from China announced earlier by the president. China has been a major trade partner with the U.S., with billions of dollars worth of electronics such as cell phones, computers, appliances, and more coming from China every year. This isn't the first time Trump has escalated trade with conflicts with China, doing so during his first term in 2018. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the president hopes to speak with President Xi soon on de-escalating conflict.
A new bill can help rural communities with their dwindling water supply. The Rural Groundwater Management Act helps rural communities control their own water destiny. Emily Foxmillian has more on the bill's impact for rural Arizonans.
Rural communities in Arizona manage their water supply. The Rural Groundwater Management Act aims to give local communities more control over the resources amid growing concerns about drought and out-of-state water usage.
The growing season is over, but the fight over water resources has just begun. Curry is a chili farmer in Arizona who depends on groundwater for his crops. He is one of many rural Arizonans concerned about the state's limited water supply. For decades, rural communities have seen water levels drop, and many fear it's because of out-of-state, large-scale agriculture and development corporations.
So how do we balance this? This piece of legislation gives us a chance to balance it.
Governor Katie Hobbs and a group of bipartisan lawmakers introduced a bill aimed at giving rural communities more control over how their water is managed.
Rural Arizona is demanding solutions to protect their water. We will deliver for them. And I'm urging legislators to listen to the voices of rural Arizonans and do the right thing by passing this common sense legislation. Our futures depend on it.
If passed, the legislation would provide immediate protections for 5 groundwater basins in Arizona.
The proposed legislation allows the local communities to have a degree of control over how groundwater is managed in their particular groundwater subbasin.
The proposal comes as the state faces drought and a growing population that demands more water. Governor Hobbs warned that if the bill does not pass, areas at risk may soon be designated as active management areas where water usage is more strict.
The bill is still in its early stages, but with water demands rising, it could become a crucial part of Arizona's water future. In the newsroom, Emily Foxmillian, Cronkite News.
Meanwhile, in Southern California, local governments are stepping up to provide relief to some of the small businesses who lost everything after last month's devastating wildfires. Cronkite News reporter Zach Bradshaw outlines what the U.S. Small Business Administration is doing to aid relief efforts.
Here in Santa Monica, smoke is still visible from the nearby Palisades fire that continues to devastate people day in and day out. But some good news for those who did have their homes or businesses burned in those horrific flames. The U.S. Small Business Administration has partnered with the Santa Monica Chamber of Commerce to build spaces where people can easily apply for low-interest loans to help get them back on their feet at a time when they need it the most.
This pop-up shop is one of many across the LA Valley the Small Business Administration has set up to help people apply for low-interest loans.
Disasters don't know city boundaries, so the impact really is felt all across LA. Santa Monica is a shining light. LA is a shining light right now. We've got a lot going on. All the businesses are really engaged in helping those who have lost, and they're being loved by the community.
The SBA offers small business owners and private nonprofits up to $2 million in disaster loans.
But these loans are very different than anything else you can get in the private market or from a bank. Why? Because the interests are very low, starting at 4% for businesses.
A lot of them are facing just uncertainty and assistance with kind of rebuilding, recovering some of their losses, and getting help, which is being provided by a lot of the resources at the disaster recovery centers.
Early estimates have placed total business and residential loss anywhere from $28 billion to $250 billion. That leaves economists doubting whether the SBA funds will be enough to encourage homeowners and small businesses to return.
I can imagine a lot of these businesses, they may not decide to rebuild, or they're certainly going to relocate somewhere else. Because it's going to take a long time to rebuild these houses. And if you just want to sort of settle up and move somewhere else, I can see that being attractive for some people. Just don't deal with the headache of trying to supervise a construction project.
While it's impossible to bring back the lost memories, family items, homes, and businesses, the SBA hopes their efforts can provide some relief.
This is something that is historic for the LA area, but we are here to help. We have all the resources, people in the field, opening centers all day long, and we will stay here for as long as is needed.
In Santa Monica, California, Zach Bradshaw, Cronkite News.
Insurance company State Farm has announced they're requesting a 22% rate hike in response to the, quote, dire financial situation caused by the Los Angeles fires.
And coming up next, a look at the news headlines from across the globe and right here in the U.S.
Including the latest on Secretary of State Marco Rubio's visit to El Salvador. Plus, Robert Kennedy Jr. passes a major hurdle in his bid to become the nation's health secretary. Details up next.
Plus, a warm day across the valley with temps in the 80s. But how long will it stick around? Your full forecast is next.
I grew up in a small border town, and water was really important to us. Without enough water, we can't farm, we can't eat, we can't live. And the way we're doing it right now, straight up doesn't have a future. I went to ASU because this is a place where you solve problems. With vertical farming, we can grow the same amount of food with 95% less water than traditional farming. The work I'm doing at ASU is changing the way I look at the world.
The scientists and engineers that support the next mission to Mars could be in this class.
Getting a degree at ASU is a journey that can take you anywhere. Into a world of groundbreaking technology and renowned award-winning faculty. Professors who help you to impact the world. Whether you're on campus or at home, becoming your best starts with learning from the best.
When I was younger, there were no engineers around me, so I had to become my own role model. At ASU, I wasn't just learning to be an engineer, I was actually engineering. And graduating, I already had real-world jobs lined up. Before ASU, my goal was to be a strong, confident woman. And when I left, I became a strong, confident engineer.
Police in central Sweden are saying that about 10 people were killed today in a school shooting. Police said a gunman opened fire inside of a school for adult education. Local law enforcement say the suspect is believed to be dead. And so far, the local police have not listed any possible motive, but they do not believe the event is terror-related.
The Central American nation of El Salvador has agreed to a deal with the Trump administration. El Salvador agreed to house violent American criminals and receive deportees of any nationality. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced the agreement on Monday.
Offered to house in his jails dangerous American criminals in custody in our country, including those of U.S. citizenship and legal residence. No country's ever made an offer of friendship such as this.
The move has alarmed critics and human rights groups. Manuel Flores, a leader of an opposing party in El Salvador, criticized the move, saying it would make the region, quote, Washington's backyard to dump the garbage.
The Senate Finance Committee has voted to advance Robert F. Kennedy's confirmation to the full Senate for a vote. The committee voted among party lines, with Republicans voting to confirm and Democrats opposing. Kennedy Jr. has been one of the more contentious and debated picks for President Trump's cabinet. Democrats have brought up Kennedy Jr.'s past comments on vaccines, which he did not support. Democrats and Republicans have had contentious debates over his confirmation this week. Take a look.
Making Robert Kennedy Secretary of Health and Human Services, in my view, colleagues, would be a grave threat to the health of the American people. And I urge my colleagues this morning to vote no.
Mr. Kennedy, if confirmed, will have the opportunity to deliver much-needed change to our nation's healthcare system. Mr. Kennedy has proven his commitment to the role of Secretary of the HHS.
Another one of Trump's picks also advanced today. Former Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard was cleared by the Senate committee, paving her path to become the Director of National Intelligence. This news comes despite concerns raised about her past comments in support of Russia and her meeting with Syria's former leader.
Back here in the States, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported today that the number of available jobs shrank in 2024. The number of open jobs was down to 7.6 million in December, from more than 8 million the month before, which is much lower than some economists had predicted. The numbers may hint at a cooling U.S. economy. But if you spent any time outside today, you probably noticed a difference in the temperature.
That's right. It was a whole lot warmer today than in recent weeks. Olivia Williams joins us now with what we can expect over the next few days.
Yes, Caitlin, we're definitely seeing some warmer weather out here in Phoenix this week. Now let's get into the evening planner. It's around 76 degrees right now, and it's going to drop to about 67 degrees at 10 p.m. tonight. So definitely get a little chilly, but nothing out of the ordinary. Now let's go into the low temperatures. We're looking about 50 degrees in Yuma, 25 degrees in Flagstaff, 22 degrees in the Grand Canyon. Definitely chilly up there, but we're looking at 50 degrees out here in Phoenix. Now let's get into the high temperatures for tomorrow. As you can see, it's definitely warm out in the southwest region of Arizona. 79 degrees in Yuma. We're looking at 80 degrees in Phoenix. So great weather to start off the waste management week. Now let's get into the future forecasts. As you can see, there's some rain in California, but luckily in Phoenix, we're not going to see any of that as we have clear skies and no chance of precipitation. Now let's get into the 8-day forecast. 80 degrees and sunny tomorrow, and it's going to be for the remainder of the week. Great weather for all you golf fans for the Waste Management Open. Now, throughout the rest of the week, we're going to see some clouds come in on Saturday and Sunday, but still great weather. Highs of 70s and lows of 50s. It's going to clear up some more Monday through Wednesday, and we're going to see great weather. So, for Cronkite News, I'm Olivia Williams reporting. Back to you.
Thanks, Olivia. It sounds like it's going to be great weather for the WM Phoenix Open.
That's right. The Open kicks off later this week. And after the break, we'll meet the player who's from Scottsdale. Tonight's Cronkite Sports Report up next.
in a small border town, and water was really important to us. Without enough water, we can't farm, we can't eat, we can't live. And the way we're doing it right now, straight up doesn't have a future. I went to ASU because this is a place where you solve problems. With vertical farming, we can grow the same amount of food with 95% less water than traditional farming. The work I'm doing at ASU is changing the way I look at the world.
Innovation at the Walter Cronkite School is pushing the boundaries of traditional journalism.
Storytelling has evolved over the years. This is part of that evolution.
Students in the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Lab are using emerging technology to create scenes in augmented and virtual reality, coding playable games, and bringing the audience into the story.
They're only limited by their imagination and their willingness to learn.
Find out more at cronkite.asu.edu.
Welcome to tonight's edition of the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Genaro Garcia. The Suns lost an overtime thriller last night against the Portland Trail Blazers in what was a night to remember for Devin Booker as he became the Suns' all-time leading scorer in franchise history. Booker and fellow All-Stars Kevin Durant's efforts on the night, however, were not enough to secure the win, as Booker missed a game-tying free throw in the final seconds in overtime. Despite the loss, Booker now holds the Sun franchise record, scoring which was previously held for 36 years by Walter Davis. The Suns, after last night's loss, are 25-24 on the season and have fallen to the 10th seed in a competitive Western Conference. Booker's biggest rival, Luka Doncic, is now a Los Angeles Laker in a blockbuster trade that had the whole NBA world in shock and disbelief. Doncic joins the Pacific Division and we'll be seeing a lot more of Booker for the foreseeable future. As you can see, Booker has his number, beating him 15 times to Luka's 8. However, Doncic has Booker's number when it matters, beating him in their lone playoff series against each other in 2022. That series in the 2022 playoffs is notoriously known among fans of both superstars as a monumental moment in their rivalry, and since then has featured tons of moments to solidify it as one of the better rivalries in the modern NBA. The Suns have one remaining game against the Lakers this season when they travel to Crypto.com Arena on March 16th to finish off their season series. Expect there to be lots of talk about the two stars' rivalry leading up to the game. The Astro Boys Division I state championship saw the top two teams in Arizona face off in Tempe. Cronkite News reporter Mihir Sinasan has more on the game's impact given the current state of ice hockey here in the Valley.
An electric atmosphere descended upon Mullet Arena as hundreds of fans headed upstairs to see number 2 Pinnacle and number 1 Mountain Ridge in their third meeting of the season. This time for the chance to represent Arizona at the High School Hockey Nationals.
Our side was more loud and rowdy, but definitely helped the atmosphere of the game, and it really made the game the way it was.
Illing netted 2 goals and an assist in the Pioneers' 5-1 win over the Mountain Lions. He was also named tournament MVP.
It's surreal. I'm so excited. I'm so happy for my team. We did a great job today, and we get to celebrate afterwards.
It's been nearly 10 months since fans were in these bleachers here at Mullet Arena watching the Arizona Coyotes play their final NHL game. And while the league, nor professional hockey in general, has returned to the Valley since then, a game like this gives fans a chance to see what hockey means to State 48.
Hockey is alive and well. The head was cut off, the National Hockey League head, but what we were trying to do here this week and this month was to remind people of that. There was a high-stakes hockey game here.
You see the 8, 9, 10-year-olds that are here that don't have the Coyotes to look up to the way that someone like myself did at that same age. So maybe giving them something like the high school athletes to look up to and idolize to keep their dream going and to keep them involved in the sport. We're trying to fill that void as much as we can.
Another night in which hockey belonged in the Valley. In Tempe, Mihir Sinasan, Cronkite News.
The Junior Varsity Division II and Division III championships will be held on February 23rd at Mullet Arena. The WM Phoenix Open is taking place this week at TPC Scottsdale, and several golfers from the state of Arizona are in this year's field, which includes Desert Mountain High School alum and Scottsdale-born Matt McCarty. McCarty has already seen success since joining the PGA Tour back in October with winning the Black Desert Championship in just his third start on the PGA Tour. McCarty spoke about what it meant to him to play in the tournament he grew up watching as a kid in Scottsdale.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's like
coming out here growing up, and I mean, dream come true to like be out here and actually, you know, inside the stands. So it'll be a lot of fun.
McCarty hopes to continue his success this week at the WM Phoenix Open in front of his friends and family. The Open held its Monday qualifier for the final time yesterday at Pinnacle Peak Country Club as 89 golfers competed for the final 3 spots in this year's tournament. With the PGA Tour set to make changes to field sizes in 2026, Monday's qualifier marks the end of an era for the Phoenix Open, which has had open qualifying every year since 1948. PGA Tour rookie Stephen Fisk made the most out of the opportunity, winning the qualifier after a 9-under round of 63. Max McGreevy and Will Chandler had to wait it out after posting their rounds of 65, but learned late in the afternoon they would play the People's Open after 7 players finished behind them by just 1 shot.
We're just kind of trying to get off to a good start, which luckily I did, and didn't have to press too much the entire day. So luckily just kept giving myself a bunch of looks, and fortunately a lot of them kept going in, and yeah, it just ended up being a pretty stressless day, except for all the waiting around at the end of it.
It's great. It means I got an opportunity this week to compete on tour. So I don't know about all the other stuff, but I'm excited to get to work this week.
McGreevy will play in the People's Open for the 2nd time in his career, while Chandler will experience the event for the first time while making just his 4th career start on the PGA Tour. Now to the other big event this week, the Super Bowl. For the 2nd time in 3 years, the Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles will face off, and with that, they had to face thousands of media members from around the globe at Super Bowl opening night. Our Max Cepeda is in New Orleans and has more from the Caesars Superdome.
The bright lights, thought-out answers,
and I'll try to use other guys from other sports as much as I possibly can.
And hilarious questions.
What's your favorite color?
Just some of the headliners following Super Bowl 59 opening night, where the Chiefs and Eagles stood and sat to answer hundreds of questions, both serious and unserious alike, even as the biggest game of the season for both sides looms.
We have a great team, but we all want to do it together, and that's the reason why we've been successful, and it's going to take everyone again this Sunday.
Now for the Chiefs and Eagles, this is a slightly different opening night stage. It's 2 years ago in downtown Phoenix. Here, they are in the building and on the grass they will be competing for a Super Bowl title for here in New Orleans. Unlike in downtown Phoenix 2 years ago when they were in the Footprint Center, the home of the Suns and Mercury. And Chris Jones and Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs are well aware of the stakes that will be inside this building 5 nights from now on Sunday.
I think this year has been one of the most special years of my life, and I think it's going to continue to make me want to, do more in the football world.
Everyone is aware of the opportunity and what's up for grabs right now. And for us, it's just another game. It's another opportunity. It's another chance to play on a bigger stage.
That being said, tonight was all about talk, but only one of these teams will back up their words and walk that walk to a championship. In New Orleans, Max Cepeda, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Max. Kickoff is at 4:30 p.m. on Sunday, Arizona time. That does it for sports. Let's send it back to Caitlin and Max.
Thanks, Sonaro. Speaking of the Super Bowl, people are shelling out thousands for a single seat.
But after the break, stay tuned to learn about how one lucky fan gets to go for free. When we return, learn how her heroic acts landed her free tickets to the big game.
We can't farm, we can't eat, we can't live. And the way we're doing it right now, straight up doesn't have a future. I went to ASU because this is a place where you solve problems. With vertical farming, we can grow the same amount of food with 95% less water than traditional farming. The work I'm doing at ASU is changing the way I look at the world.
Innovation at the Walter Cronkite School is pushing the boundaries of traditional journalism.
Storytelling has evolved over the years. This is part of that evolution.
Students in the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Lab are using emerging technology to create scenes in augmented and virtual reality, coding playable games, and bringing the audience into the story.
They're only limited by their imagination and their willingness to learn.
Find out more at cronkite.asu.edu.
One lucky nurse is being gifted tickets to this year's Super Bowl in New Orleans.
Stevie Kells helped care for victims of the New Year's terror attack on Bourbon Street. Saints linebacker Demario Davis and a furniture chain surprised her with the 2 tickets to the Super Bowl showdown between the Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. She plans to take her boyfriend along to the big game.
That's it for tonight's edition of Cronkite News. I'm Caitlin Humphrey.
And I'm Max Williams. Thank you for joining us. And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.